Good evening, everybody. It is us. It is the Archer Football Podcast College Edition. So glad to have you with us. As always, I'm Sonia, Mom23RN, and we've got Michelle with us. Oh, look at me go. We got Michelle Jinks with us, and we have our special
Woohoo.
guest who we are so excited to have,
Oh,
our good friend Wanda. Wanda, you remember she is a huge Bears fan. She comes on, on the Archer Football Podcast, talks Bears. But as y'all don't know, if you don't know, she is a Notre Dame fan, a huge Notre Dame fan,
oh yeah.
and so we are so excited to have you here to talk some Notre Dame football. And tell me, how did you become a fan of Notre Dame? Not that you have to prove your
You know,
credentials or anything, but
it's funny is when I first started watching college football, at first I wasn't interested, but then there was something about the gold helmets, and I thought, wow, this is like really cool, and I was looking at it. And then at the time I was watching with Joe Montana when he first started playing. And I thought, gosh, it's like he looks. The first thought that came to my head is like, wow, he's like a skinny guy that looks kind of like there's nothing to him, but he would just throw darts after darts after darts. And I thought this is a dynamic team. Never, thought I'd like a team, and I just fell in love with it. And so I just kind of, I was, I worst games, is the Mr. Pickle himself, Clausen, where he was spectacular in Notre Dame, but boy, he just could not do anything in the NFL. So he's just you never know. But since then, it's just been Montana. That's it.
well, so glad to have you on. We'll talk about Notre Dame in a little bit, But first of all, I always want to say that if you guys are watching on Twitter, if you're watching on Facebook, head over to our YouTube channel. Same as our Turf, plain old our Turf YouTube channel. Come on over, join us in the chat. You can chat, you can give your 2 cents. We love to hear from you. We interact with you. You see, Kristen is here as always. Hi, Kristen. We love to have you. Yes, and the gold helmets are pretty snazzy. Notre Dame's gold helmets, the gold domes, that's what we all know them for.
Yep,
And they look really good on TV, don't they?
they
I mean,
do.
I'm being good. I'm complimenting Notre Dame, but they do look good on TV.
Yes.
Michelle, how's it going?
You,
Michelle.
s- oh, I'm sorry. You know my hearing's bad. I'm
Yep,
good. I'm good. I'm
that's
good.
good. That's good. Are you ready to talk some football, some college football?
Ready to
Some
talk some football.
Yeah,
all
yeah.
righty. So last week, so as you know, you guys are choosing games for us to watch every week. We'll put out a poll on Friday so that y'all can vote so that we can watch a game and talk about it next week or on the next week's show. So last week we put out a poll and the overwhelming majority voted to talk about Texas and Michigan. And I'm excited about that because, of course, I'm a Michigan fan, but I did not vote anyway. I just retweeted and that's it. So there's that. But did we watch the game on Saturday? And what did you think? I'll start with you, Wanda, since you're our guest.
The are we talking about the Texas game?
Yes, talking about the
Yes.
Texas game.
I love the game. I am so impressed by Ewers. That kid can ball. He's just really
Hmm.
good. Um, they've Sarkeesian is he's got it to where he's got that team so balanced in the way that they play
Exactly.
the run game and the passing game was incredible. I mean, I have like I think it was where their offense accumulated 31 points and 389 yards of total offense. That's not and then including it was like 246 of it was passing, and it was just so balanced in the way that it was played. I mean, I would be shocked if Texas doesn't go all the way here.
Agreed. I mean, they looked amazing. They looked very complete. Um, and I was watching that, and all I had to do was just tip my hat. I could do nothing but tip my hat to that game. Michelle, what did you think about the game?
Well, it wasn't, if we can call it that. I mean, the game is 20. We're talking about a 24-3 lead at halftime. Um, you know, um, Texas had about almost 300 yards to 80, less than 100 for Michigan. It was just a
Mm,
just a total. Well, I don't. Just total domination by
yeah,
Texas.
yeah,
You thought if you were skeptical about Michigan coming in with Harbaugh leaving and the amount of players that they lost, this was the game that showed you they're not the same Michigan that won the national championship. And Texas, Texas looks like to me. Well, I can't say they look like the best team, but they look as close to Georgia as anybody else does
Yeah.
so far in these first 3 weeks. First 2 weeks. Granted, everybody hadn't had much competition, but they look really good.
I'll agree. They looked very complete, and like you said, they looked very complete. And if you had any doubts about Michigan, I think that was answered. That they probably are not going to go back to a national championship game this year. And for all of those people who are like, oh, it's because Connor Stallion wasn't there. I think not. Maybe because we lost a head coach and a whole bunch of coordinators and a whole bunch of players to the draft in the NFL. I think that's more of a reason why.
Right.
Um, Texas looked like Michigan probably did last year. It's kind of what I took away from that. Complete, just did what they wanted to do. Michigan was fumbling and just, not getting it together. So I think right now, if you ask me, Texas, I think is very close to number one, if not number two. Thank you, Lisa. And Texas Georgia coming up in a couple weeks is going to be really, really good. That's going to be a good game, unless Georgia gets knocked off before then. But I think that's going to be a really fun game to see. What do you
Can't
guys
wait to
think?
see it.
That's going to be a great
I
game.
agree. Yep,
Yep.
I agree. I can't wait. Really want to watch.
Huh? That's
I really want to
that
watch it. I
almost.
think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah. The
I think
thing.
so too. I mean, oh, go ahead, Michelle.
No, you go ahead.
I think if they could flex games in college, that would be one to flex.
Right?
That would be a
Yeah, that would be
very
one.
good one to
Yeah.
flex. Yes.
But
Uh,
you wanna wait and you want it to build up and give it time to build up. So I'm good. Just let it simmer a little bit, have all the anticipation and see what's gonna happen, and then we play it when we play it.
mhm. Agreed. Agreed. It's going to be a great game, I think, when it happens, and I can't wait. There was another game that was played this week. Um, we thought the App State Clemson was going to be the upset of the weekend. Unfortunately, Wanda, was it the upset of the weekend?
Oh, no,
Sorry.
no, no,
Oh no,
no. Because the Fighting
upset
Irish
of the weekend.
they wanted all the glory.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, our good friend Lisa, who was on with us last week, mentioned that she didn't feel like Notre Dame was a top 5 team, and they
Hmm.
went out and they proved her correct, and went out and pretty much kind of laid an egg against Northern
Lisa.
Illinois. Not to discredit Northern Illinois, because as the coach said as he was crying in his post game interview, they believed that they could win this game. His players bought into it, and they pretty much were running up and down that field. And as the game got close, I'm like, I don't think Notre Dame can come back because they can't stop them. They're not able to stop this running game. They're not able to stop them from completing these third downs. And it was tough. And Notre Dame kind of struggled their first week. They kind of struggled, so you can see. And they just play these games. They have these games every year that
Right.
you think they should just win and dominate, and then they come out and they lay an egg. And that's just what happened. It was a beautiful game to watch, though, if you're a person like me who love upset. So I kind of enjoyed it. Sorry, Wanda, but I did. It was, I'm an upset girl for college, and when I'm watching when I'm watching college sports, if someone is higher ranked, I'm always going for the upset, unless it's the Hurricanes on my team. Don't worry.
Yeah, I get it.
Of
I
course.
get it.
Of course. All about the U, right?
Yeah.
And FAMU.
Wanda, what did you think about the game?
Uh, it, the game was so, it was like the opposite of the Texas game. There was no balance in Notre
Mhm.
Dame. They could not. First of all, you have the quarterback Riley Leonard, who, when he transferred in the portal, he had a busted leg. So he was still in a cast when he was there. He didn't get to strengthen that leg in time to get a relationship with his receivers, any of that sort of stuff, get acclimated with the team. Now he goes out there. They're gonna, and I think personally, they should have let Steve Angeli to start, let him start it, and give Riley a chance to kind of continue practice until he can get put in there. But he's very erratic in the way that he throws. He overthrows his players. He doesn't get it
Mhm.
in there, and then tries to be that mobile quarterback, where you're sitting and watching him run, like the first week, and you're going, dude, you're gonna fall, you're gonna break your leg again, and then you've got you've got the issues that are coming with that. But I know there's been an issue with just on the quarterback standpoint with Notre Dame for years. They they
Mhm.
they just lately, in the past several years, even when Brian Kelly was on, they just can't get the quarterback that is a top 5 quarterback. I mean, it's just the scouting issues on how are we getting a quarterback that is going to be that's going to take Notre Dame to where they need to be, to where they deserve to be in these standings, and it
Mhm.
hasn't been that way in a while. And I know that Freeman has been all about recruiting and scouting and so on, but this was just one area that they just dropped the ball on. Now we haven't seen how CJ Carr is going to come up. They lost Deuce Knight, and he was the big one that they were going after, and he's now in the portal looking for other place to go. So there's somewhere there's a disconnect when it comes to the offense and getting the quarterbacks to stay and want to play, but good solid quarterbacks that have that key, that something that's going to get them into those games and win games like last week.
Mhm.
That was just a poor performance in all 3 phases. Even
Mhm.
in the defense, not being able to stop the run, they were just all over it. But in an interview with one, I think it's one of the players from the Huskies, they said, or it might have been Hammock. I think it might have been the coach. 6 days of looking at film, and they knew exactly how to beat Notre Dame.
Mhm.
And if that's the case, boy, you got an issue. But yet, Hammock comes out, tells Freeman, um, I know how you can beat Purdue if you want to be serious. So Freeman contacts him, and they talk, and now he helps him and gives him the points that he needs to get them to beat Purdue this week. And they ask how come Hammock is doing this, because he knows they're not in the same league, but
Mhm.
he wants to see Freeman succeed. And so that I thought was interesting that he would go to that extreme. But let's see what happens. Let's see if they can beat Purdue and they turn the offense around. They get the defense clicking and they actually look like a team. If they lay a goose egg, Freeman is gone, because they're all Irish fans are already, they're already yelling to Freeman needs to go. And
Mhm.
it's just been, it's they just haven't seen enough for this team to really be in contention and be up there with LSU and Alabama. And not to say that LSU right now is any better, Um, with Brian Kelly, I don't, I don't see that at this point. But to be up there with Georgia and Clemson, and look at Clemson, look at the goose egg that they laid in the first week, and then the
Mhm.
second week they came up and did what they needed to do. That's what Notre Dame needs to do. If they can't do that here, then there's they can't do that with Purdue. Then we have a problem, big problem.
Great. Oh, somebody wants to say hi, Wanda. Hi, Auntie, says Sky.
Hello.
I'm looking at Notre Dame's schedule coming up. Uh, oh, Lisa, the FSU Notre Dame game should be a real barber. Lisa is such a mess. Anyways, I'm looking at their schedule coming up. I mean, it overall looks pretty winnable from their start. So they have Purdue,
Right.
they have Miami of Ohio. The only one that might give them a run for their money right now, Louisville.
Hmm.
Um, and then Stanford, and then Georgia Tech. And so, but Notre Dame is one of those teams like you expected that loss, but you didn't expect it this early. I
Right.
expected that, I expected them to do what they usually do, and maybe later on in the season that would happen and kind of sneak up on them. But I agree. I think that Freeman's on the hot seat now, and I think he can make it through the season, but I'm pretty sure Irish fans are pretty upset with him right now.
Oh yeah, they're all screaming. I mean, right now it's like, that's it. Freeman needs to go. We're done. We need to, this is an embarrassment. I mean, they're just wanting. I mean, even they put out this documentary, that's on Peacock,
Mhm.
and it was wow. It's just like this is it. You could see it just gets you as a fan. You just in all the love and in all the good feelings, and then they laid this goose egg and you're like, what? This is just not. You're wondering where did the Irish go? Where did this team that would come up in with Freeman, who was the defensive coordinator during the time of Brian Kelly? Yeah, he was good, and he knew this, and
Mhm.
it's just like there's a point of where, as a head coach, you have to decide to be a coach, but at the same time, if you're watching your team, you've got to be able to say, hey, you need to do this. Pull one of the guys. You're not following your lead, and you're not you're too high up. Do the things that they need to do. And he needs to coach them up, and I think a good
Mhm.
head coach is one that coaches up his players to succeed. And Freeman right now is a really great rah guy, but he needs to like step out of the rah and step into, hey, we're a football team and we're Notre Dame Irish, and we need to live up to the expectations that comes behind in this program. That's what I'm expecting.
Agreed. I think we all are.
Yeah.
You got anything else to add, Michelle?
No, not on Notre Dame. I mean, I think that they, I think that they can. I think he should. He'll probably make it through the end of the season.
Agreed.
It wouldn't make sense for them to cut him during he can come out and
Yeah.
upset someone and have a big game. It's one loss. It's one loss in the beginning of the
Right.
season.
Right.
Notre Dame historically, as we've stated before, they find their way in the top 25. The playoffs have been expanded. I mean, they can go on a run and win the rest of their games. So you just kind of got to wait and see. And I mean, they let Charlie Wise stay there for about 4 years, messing stuff up. So they maybe at least let him go through the end of this season and see if he can turn things around. But I still think Notre Dame is still kind of in a rebuilding year, even though
Yeah.
they've kind of been in, they've been in the playoffs, or did they make the playoffs last year, or they were
Yeah.
almost the fifth team or whatever, but
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. They were
they've
almost
always
finished.
been close. So, he hasn't done bad. He hasn't done so bad that you think he should be fired in the middle of the season. I mean, they
Right.
have lost. They're not where the fans think they should be, but they haven't been that team for a long time. And so,
Yeah.
to sit here and say, well, this now we're we were here and now we're here. That's not the case for Notre Dame. They're still trying to climb and bring back that old glory. And the
Right.
question is whether they can do it or not. I think that they need to get in the conference. I think the independent time that they had, those days are gone. They may as
Yep.
well go ahead and join the ACC. That helps them. They win the ACC. They win the conference. They're in the playoffs, and they
Exactly.
have something of record that they won. And
Yep.
so I think that's where they need to go.
Yeah, I agree. I totally
Agreed.
agree.
Agreed. Well, that was last week. Start looking at next week. There's some good games coming up next week. Michelle, and these are going to be some of the games that we'll pick. So these will be some of the games that we'll tweet out and let you guys vote. And I have worked on it, so I think I figured out how to put a poll in YouTube. And hopefully, maybe one day we can figure out how to make it like interactive, like on screen. Maybe we'll
Mhm.
figure that out. I'm not tech savvy, guys. Help me with my tech savvy people out there. Message me. There's my Twitter. Message me. Help me out. All right. So what's coming up next week? There's some, I think, not as many exciting games, but any given Saturday, anything can happen. So what are a couple of games you want to pick next week, Michelle?
For me, I think there are two games I think that we need to probably watch, and one starts on Friday. I think the Arizona Kansas State game will be an interesting game. You know, I love
Mhm.
those West kind of teams like that. They always have good high scoring games. Fun to watch. Kansas State, they had to escape Tulane last week, and Arizona, struggled a little bit with Northern Arizona. So I think it'll be a great game to watch. Lisa says Z's, but it's the teams that we don't think about, the ones that they're not always talking about on ESPN. Those are the games that are awesome when you actually watch them. So I think it'll be a pretty good game. Kansas State doesn't really play games that put you to sleep. It's always a back and forth affair with them.
Right.
And the other game I have for me, because I'm just interested in to see Texas A&M versus Florida. I mentioned last week that Florida was going to have a quarterback controversy, and that they would probably get that rookie, the freshman in there, the true freshman who came in at the end against Miami. He actually, I don't know if he started, but he definitely played most of the game against Sanford last week. He had over 400 yards, 300 touchdowns, and I get it that it was Sanford, but it was still a better showing. And it was something that you can see in that drive that he scored on, the scoring drive that he had against Miami. So I think the Texas A&M game versus Florida, I'm just curious. That's at Florida, so I want to see how he will play against another SEC opponent, and how different Florida will look in this game versus the game they played against Miami.
Hmm. That'll be a good game, I think. Wanda, do you have a game that you think we would love to watch?
Hmm. I was thinking of the Oregon State game.
Yeah,
Yep.
So I
that's
think
gonna be
I think
fun.
that one's going to be a good game. Just all around, I think the competition is going to be. I think it's going to be like a back and forth game. I really do.
Mhm.
Just passing in and rushing. I think it's going to be exciting to watch, and it's going to be uh, down to I think like a 16-point lead somewhere. So which
Well,
team it's going to be, don't know.
considering there is no Pac-12 and Oregon jetted from the Pac-12 and Oregon State is still there with Washington just hanging,
Yep.
I think it would be, those teams always play back and forth games. So I'm ready for that one too.
Yeah, I think it's a
Mhm.
great game.
That'll be
It,
a great game.
And what about you,
Yeah.
Sonia?
What about me? I'm kind of, I don't know. There's a good one. There's some good ones out there. I think Boston College, Missouri might be actually kind of fun to watch.
mm,
I think those are two teams that have kind of been historically like underlooked and stuff like that. So I think that Missouri being ranked as high as they are, Boston College pulling off the upset against Florida State. I think those are going to be, I think, a couple of good teams to watch and just a fun game to watch. And I am all about no stress football sometimes. And so some of these games like that, Boston College, Missouri, where I really have no rooting interest in. Those are just fun for me to watch, just because you can watch and see and or not understand, but just watch other teams and play. And so I love that. So that'll be one that I think we could vote on also.
Sounds good.
Even though I'm not gonna put this out there, but there is another big game this weekend. It's the Battle of the Bay. Hampton University versus Norfolk State University, two
Yes, sir.
HBCUs. My school, Hampton University, rock the blue and white. They're going over to Norfolk State. Battle of the Bay. That is always a big rivalry. I would say that is kind of like Michigan State. I think that's kind of like that. I think, yeah, I think that's the kind of rivalry we're talking about. So
I
that's
can agree
always a
with
fun
that.
game.
I can
So
agree. Hampton is no longer in the MEAC. They left, and Norfolk State is still there. And all of the talk about A&T and Hampton leaving the conference and going this place and playing with CAA or MAA or whatever conference they're in right now. So I think it's going to
I
be
have no idea.
a great game. It's going to be it's always a great game because it's the Battle of the Bay. So, who you got? You got Hampton or you got Norfolk State?
I got Hampton. I got Hampton all the way, baby. I mean, I think it'll be a very good game. Hampton has been a little iffy in the past, but they were close to beating Morgan State last week, so I think they'll be able to put it together and beat Norfolk State. Also, just random fact about Norfolk State. I think quarterback Russell Wilson, I think his grandfather, I think was one of the presidents of Norfolk State. So
I
just a
think
little,
so.
just a little history
There
quiz
you go.
trivia for you. Yeah, yeah.
And
Okay.
I also think there's just like one that I think people are going to watch just out of curiosity.
Sure, what you got?
And it would be Colorado against Colorado State. Because if you
Absolutely.
remember last year, there was all the talk, and Colorado State came and kicked their butt in embarrassment. So it'll be
Mm.
interesting to see this matchup, and if Colorado can get anything up against Colorado State at all.
Well, the Colorado just needs to get something against anybody. Nebraska
Literally.
went in there and kind of laid it on them.
Yep.
Last week, and Shadur once again is running for his life, and most
Yep.
of the game he wasn't able to get the offense going. They just look really bad. They looked really bad last week. They couldn't stop the defense, couldn't stop anything, and that's probably been their biggest disappointment because we thought with the additions of the coaches and Warren Sapp and the other people that they've added to the defensive staff, that Colorado would look better, much better defensively. Right now, it just looks like whatever Travis Hunter can do, that's what they can do. He has to stop everybody, and then he has to come and score all the points. But they have the talent. They just have to put it together, and they haven't been able to do that. So I think this will be a good game again. Colorado and Colorado State, Oregon State. Those type of games, those are big rivalries, and so you can never go wrong with those games.
Exactly.
Not at all. I love me a good rivalry, as everybody knows.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, no, I do. I love a good rivalry game. We can look at the rankings and we can kind of see. Oh, shoot. Where are my rankings? Where teams have gone. Did anybody move?
Well, when you look at the AP and the coaches poll, they're pretty the same 1 through 5. Except the coaches have Texas number 3 and AP has Texas number 2.
Right.
But both polls, everybody knows Georgia is number 1, and then you got Alabama and Ole Miss bringing down the top 5. But when you get down to 6 through 10, they have the same team, sort of, but they're in different orders. With the 2 polls. Missouri and the AP, you got them at 6, but they're 8 in the coaches poll. Tennessee 7 in AP, but 9 in the coaches poll. Penn State kind of 8 and 7, and then Oregon 6 in the coaches poll, but 9th in the AP poll, and then in Miami moves up to 2 spots to number 10 in the AP poll, and they moved up in the coaches poll too, but they're at number 12. So, kind of the same teams, but a little bit movement there. Of course, the
Mhm.
biggest drops are Notre Dame and Michigan.
Right.
Yep.
With their loss, Notre Dame fell 13 spots.
13. I
Yeah,
know.
and to number 18, and that's just to number 18 in the AP poll, and they went 12 spots in the coaches poll, so they're 18 and 19, and then Michigan 7 spots in both polls down. So
Mhm. I'm
Mm-mm.
actually surprised that they were able to stay in the rankings, to be quite honest.
which
But
one?
hey, Michigan.
Yeah, they're going to give them the benefit of the doubt because it's Michigan and Notre Dame. They're going to give them that,
Right.
and they give them that opportunity to redeem themselves with an upset or
Mhm.
something.
And I think Notre Dame was in there just because of beating ATM. So I
Yep,
think that's really why they're still there.
Mhm.
yep.
Mhm. Agreed. Now, which one do you think is the better of the two polls, coaches poll or the AP poll?
Well, you got the coaches poll is from the coaches' perspective.
Right.
You I think it's good to have both polls. I always say this. You have the media who both votes in the AP poll, and then you have the coaches who votes because you're supposed to have some balance. Your media is supposed to be unbiased and just vote. They probably watch more of the games. People always say, well, they don't play the games, but they probably watch more of the games
Right.
because those coaches watch who they're getting ready to play.
Mhm.
Everybody else is just watching everybody else. So I think it's good to have both polls so that you can kind of bring the two together.
I
I
agree.
don't know which one is better. I don't pay polls attention. You got to play, as my man Herman Elvis say, you play the game. You have to play the game. You get on the field and you play to win. That's why you play.
Hello.
That's the way it's supposed to go.
Exactly, exactly. I've always been a little bit, I don't know. I understand, I get it, but I think I always lean a little bit more towards the coaches poll just because
It's
coaches, but
coaches.
that's
Yeah.
just me, just because, just
Mm-hmm.
because. But both of them, it is, I do like to see the contrast and the difference between them. But that's just me. And your friend Kim Michelle, she agreed with the statement earlier before we started talking about the poll. So I just wanted to let you know we see
'Cause
you,
that's
Kim.
my sister. Woo-hoo!
Oh my gosh. Oh my goodness. Well, any other things y'all want to wrap up about this past week in college football? Any players that you saw do something great? Any school, doesn't matter. Could be small
Hmm.
school.
Well, I'm gonna go with Lisa's favorite thing in the quarterbacks, and Quinn is it Ewers? I call him Ewers.
Yours.
Hmm.
With Texas, just doing a wonderful job so far. Just looking good. It's a lot of them out there. There's a lot of quarterbacks, but I just think he's on
He's
the
smooth.
rise. And yeah,
He's
yeah,
just smooth. The way he
yeah,
plays is just smooth.
yep,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Agreed. He was a general out there. He did what he needed to do to win. He didn't do anything too fancy. He kept it simple, did what he needed to do and won and looked great doing it.
And
So,
that's all you want from your quarterback. Just win,
exactly.
baby.
Just win.
Just win, baby. That's right. So, hats off to him. So, congrats, Mr. Ewers. You did a great job. Um, and that's the other thing too, is like I can't really be mad at Texas. It's not like there's like a true rivalry with Michigan and Texas, but I tip my hat and good luck to them the rest of the way. Yeah. So that'll just about do it. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Keep an eye out on the polls. Kristen, I'm going to figure out how to get the polls to YouTube so that you can vote. I promise. I promise I will do that. So vote on our polls. Make sure you like and subscribe our YouTube so that you can watch this, so you can watch us, so you can comment in the comment section. You can also watch the original OTFB podcast where we talk well, not regular, but NFL football. So, yeah. Thank you so much, Wanda, for joining us. I
Thanks
appreciate
for
you
having
coming
me.
in. hanging. It's so great to talk with you again.
Yeah.
Get ready to talk some Bears soon.
Yeah.
Michelle, as always, it's been great hanging out with you.
Awesome.
Everybody, we will see you guys next Wednesday.
Next
Bye.
Wednesday. See ya.